What's going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome to the MLB DFS Better Baseball live stream and podcast here on the Better Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm social channels. James, we are recording here previewing Monday's 6-game main slate. We had a pretty wild weekend here. We had some very high-scoring contests. We had Coors Field on the slate. If you chose to play Mexico City, you might have had that on there. They had a game total of 21. For Sunday, they hit was it 11 home runs
Yeah, it
on
was 11 home
Saturday?
runs.
Like
Yep.
absolutely wild. But we're a little bit back to normal here. But as we talk about it, every so often we get these rotational turns here on us, and this is maybe one of the worst compiled pitching slates that we've seen in some time. The fact that Luis Garcia is $9,200, Domingo Germán is $8,700 really just sort of speaks volumes to what it is that we're looking at here today. So we're going to do our best. I would suggest this is a day you play light. You wait for the number one, number two starters to find their way back around the rotation. Also, probably a pretty good day for offenses coming on this slate here. So, looking across the weather-wise, most of the rain seems to be passing by at this point, so it shouldn't be too much weather impact. I know if you're on DraftKings, you'll see the Cubs Washington game with that little rain symbol. I just checked out weather.com. Doesn't look like there's really going to be anything going on around game time for this one, so should be a clean slate weather-wise. But other than that, I would expect maybe some decent game totals here today, just given who's pitching.
Yeah, decent game totals. Vegas has, and pretty much in line with what you're saying, like because the lack of options we have at pitcher, there aren't many big favorites. Luis Garcia is a minus 180 favorite over on DraftKings Sportsbook. Blake Snell minus 205 at home. We know Blake Snell has been notoriously good at home. He gets the Reds away from Great American. Those are like the only two notable favorites. Everyone else is close to the money line. Gonsolin and the Dodgers minus 150 against Taijuan Walker and the Phillies, but like even minus 150, Gonsolin's not going to be long for that game, considering where he returned from. Every total, John, in terms of over under, is and has opened at 8.5 or higher, which is interesting and kind of speaks to your point. 9.5 is a slate high in Boston, Toronto. I think that is not surprising considering the two pitchers in that game. At least one of them. One of them's been good. One of them has not.
The Klubot looked okay last start.
That's I'm sure. Yes. Okay. He did do fine last start. But he has been a bot every other start. Just like you mentioned. So yeah, interesting game environments all around baseball. Excited to get into this one, especially at the pitcher position, because even though it's crappy, I think you and I can carve out some pretty decent spots here.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. So let's get into it. Pitching is here. Usually we break it down by tiers, but I don't think that's necessary at this point. If I'm just targeting guys that I like here, I will throw some darts at Blake Snell, even though Cincinnati has guys that can hit left-handed pitching and get them out of Cincinnati and on the road. We know there's definitely some strikeout upside there. We talk a lot about Blake Snell, though. Those walks, man, are atrocious. Like free pass galore, 17 walks the last 4 starts. Averaging a strikeout per inning, which is great. He's thrown over 100 pitches, which is great. But it's unfortunate it's taking that long for him to get to that point in the game. He's also hasn't won a game yet. So if there's some win equity here, maybe he gets up to 16 or 17 fantasy points on this slate, just doing what he's normally doing. After that, I don't really want to go against the Boston offense. They just keep hanging up runs when they're at home. I know Barrios has looked pretty good, but not for me. It's probably Mackenzie Gore at $8,100. I think this is a point where we've talked about Gore enough this season where we're like, this was a centerpiece part of a trade for Juan Soto. He's a very highly touted prospect. It's all about like, when is that breakout going to come? What's he going to look like? It goes up against the Mets, 6 innings, 10 Ks, 1 earned. Goes up against a Baltimore team that was world beaters early on, 6 innings, 3 earned, 7 strikeouts in that one. Really, his only struggle start this year was against the Angels in LA, 3 2/3, but only 2 earned runs allowed there. The walks were a little bit of a problem. 88 pitches in 3 2/3, not great, but over 100 pitches the last 2 starts. Mackenzie Gore
in Coors. Pitch well in
Coors. Mackenzie Gore might be your chalk starter on the slate today.
I would say the 2 guys you mentioned. I would say Blake Snell, because you and I have been doing this now the whole season. Blake Snell is like weirdly popular every single time he touches the mound. You and I are like, why is Blake Snell more popular than pitcher X, right? So Cincinnati,
and it's benefited us because we fade him all the time. He gets like 11 fantasy points.
So Cincinnati 21st in OPS against left-handed pitching this year, so slightly worse than normal, John. Away from Great American, I think this is the key stat as well to partner with. 28th in OPS. So they just are not hitting away from Great American. They're not hitting lefties in general. So I do think Snell's going to be largely popular. I do think Mackenzie Gore is going to be largely popular. Even though, dude, the Cubs against left-handers this year are raking.
They're banging. 365 WOBA.
Yeah, dude, 837 OPS, third in the league. Like, these guys are destroying lefties. I would say that's the only holdup. You brought up a great point, though. Like, really tough matchup against the Mets. 10 strikeouts, a team who doesn't really strike out a lot. In Coors, just 2 earned.
Yeah.
In Atlanta, against Atlanta, the first game of the year, like, Matt Olson had like 6 home runs in the first week of the year. Nothing, didn't allow nothing in that game. So I agree. I understand San Francisco has hit right-handed pitching well. And I know that you are not a Luis Garcia truther. No. Has looked very, very, very good over his last 2 starts.
Last 2 starts for sure. Tampa Bay, Toronto.
Right. And isn't that like, I mean, that's pretty significant. Like, 2 of the better offenses in baseball. One, the absolute best team in baseball. He beat outright on the road, and then, beat Toronto at home and beat them up. Like, he didn't allow an earned run in either of those starts. And I get it. He is very inconsistent. But what's been consistent the last 3 starts are the strikeouts. Yep. So San Francisco is a team, even though they hit right-handed pitching well, still have the second highest strikeout rate in the league against right-handed pitching. So I'd consider Garcia. Like, I don't think we need to get to him. I'm definitely not getting to Herman. I know you profiled it on Friday Friday's live stream where you're like, the Guardians just like don't do a lot. They don't strike out. But like, they also like don't score a lot. They just
that's true too. Yeah.
But like, it's still hard for me to get to Herman because he had 2 lucky starts. The Minnesota start, he was clearly, there was substance on his.
Yeah, they didn't even eject him. They were just like, wash your hands, sir.
Yeah, and they allowed him to start. So like, that is kind of because look at 11 strikeouts, and I understand the strikeouts, but he's also had to start with 0 against Cleveland. Against Cleveland,
which is why he went to the sticky stuff.
Yep, where he went to the sticky stuff. So like, no interest in Herman. Snell, yes. Berrios, I agree fully. What do you think of Smiley? Coming off, like, he had that amazing start, and then he was just, he was okay.
Well, we talked about it, right? Like, Washington against lefties is actually the better split for them.
Yep.
They rank 30th in strikeout rate. And I mean that in, like, they don't strike out. 15% strikeout rate versus left-handed pitching. 338 WOBA, 339 BABIP, 765 OPS, 409 slugging for a team that just hits singles, a 296 average against left-handed pitching. I don't want to say we're going back to the well with a natty stack here, but like, we're probably going to be throwing some natties on in our lineup tonight.
It's hilarious that you read off all those numbers. So like, they're top 10 in OPS, top 10 in WOBA, and then you look at ISO and they're 29th. They're actually doing exactly what you said. Single.
And they walk a ton too, right? Isn't that the other thing too? They 8% walk rate.
8%. Okay. So it's
about league average and walk rate there. But they don't strike out. 15% strikeout rate. Batting average in balls in play is not like outrageous. It's 339 because they're just hitting like solid singles over the second baseman, up the middle. Like, that's all they're doing. So
what's where else? If we're not going Smiley, where else are we going? Do you dare test the Cal Quantrill 2 to 4 strikeout per game? Because look, let's face it. Aaron Boone came out and said they don't expect Aaron Judge to go on the IL, but the Yankees have fumbled literally everything for the last few years that I expect him to go to the IL, truthfully. If he doesn't play. So he will not play Monday. So they've already ruled him out. Is Quantrill potentially an option? Like no Judge, no Stanton, no Bader, no Donaldson, and we saw.
I mean, I've pitched every starter in the Rangers series against the Yankees this weekend, and you saw my bet. I bet the no hitter on or the shutout.
Yeah, on DeGrom.
And I wanted to bet the no hitter for DeGrom, and then he ends up getting hurt.
May not pitch again this year.
Yeah, he's probably Tommy John most likely going his way there, but. Evaldi the very next night, complete game shutout. Martin Perez tonight, solid start. Yes, as long as that AAA lineup is going out there, I will have some interest. I mean, got lit up against Colorado, tough start for Quantrill. Detroit 6 shutout, Washington 6 and 3 earned. He just doesn't strike anybody out. So
he cannot miss bats.
You need him to throw a shutout.
Yes.
So. Yeah, listen, I think there's some, but he's 7,400. He's not 6,500, right? So, I don't know.
You pick someone else.
Does Gonsolin get a bump? Because Gonsolin's not a $6,800 pitcher when he's pitching. He threw 3 1/3 shutout, 65 pitches. I might throw a dart at Tony Gonsolin. Listen, Tony Gonsolin gives me 75 pitches, 85 pitches, and gets 4 innings. If he can give me the Hunter Green,
Hunter Green, 10 strikeouts.
I mean, the Street won't get 10 strikeouts, but if you can throw 80 pitches in 5 innings, we're good to go, right? So, maybe I have some interest in Gonsolin, but it's not good.
I feel like you can. Suggesting 80 pitchers for 29 other teams is reasonable here, but then you factor in that it's the Dodgers and Dave Roberts is probably going to only let him throw 66 pitches this time out.
There hasn't been an update on his.
If we were to get an update, if we got an update on a number and that number was 75, then I would consider Gonsolin because
topped out at 57 pitches in his last rehab start.
So if it's an 8-pitch increment, it's right around that 75 pitch mark.
Right.
So if they came out and said 75 to 80, are you comfortable with that with Gonsolin?
I think so, because I think he can get 5 innings there.
What if he says 70 to 75?
It depends on my lineup build.
Okay. I think
because there's win equity with him. So if he gets 5 innings at 75 pitches against the Phillies, who have not really been very good.
Minus 150 favorite at home, too, for Gonsolin.
Yeah. Philly, 7th highest strikeout rate, 25%. I lied about them not being very good against righties. They're hammering righties. 450 slugging against right-handed pitching.
Fifth in OPS, top 10
lefties
ISO.
Maybe it's lefties that they're really bad against. They're actually just hitting everybody. Why do I feel like they're just not putting up runs? They're just not putting up runs?
They've had some massive games this year where they've scored a whole bunch of runs.
Sure.
But they're all at the same token. They were really bad. They're 15 and 13. They're just in a division with 3 other teams that have 500 or better. They're 8-2 over the last 10 games.
Yeah, they're 15th in runs scored in the league. That's why that's what it they're. I don't know. They can't capitalize. They're hitting a lot of extra base hits, and
they have a -3 run differential as well.
Yeah,
so their pitching is just letting them down.
Pitching's not good. They're 15th in total runs scored this year. I don't know, maybe Gonsolin. Gonsolin's a good pitcher. He had a really good stuff. But if he's who knows? Maybe I'm a little bit less down on him now, but. There's not a lot here, so
we're probably gonna have to take a shot. I wouldn't mind if we found out Gonsolin 75 to 80 pitches. I wouldn't mind, but Stripling's just kind of in a similar boat, where he's not stretched out. At least he was earlier in the year, and then he just hasn't. They took him out of the bullpen. I don't really want
to run up against Houston,
right? I'm just saying, Kluber against Toronto, you're not gonna really. Want to mess with that. Luke Weaver against San Diego, I guess you could, but he's been hot trash in his first 2 starts. 5 home runs, 10 earned runs in his first 2 starts.
Yeah.
I think it's Gonson if you're not taking a shot on Quantrill.
I bet people pitch Drew Smyly tomorrow against Washington, and I just don't think it's going to
Probably.
work out. I just don't think it's going to work out for them. So,
I mean, it also could if he's just like on FanDuel, if they're just like single, single, single and not giving up like a bunch of
sure.
runs, it could be fine. On DraftKings, where he gives up 9 hits in 5 innings, like it's gonna hurt.
Yeah. All right, let's go to catcher. I mean, I like Tyler Stevenson, but if we're not playing Snell, he's $4,200. We have Yanni
Yeah.
Gomes against Mackenzie Gore. We know that lefty matchup is very favorable. All Toronto guys will be in play against Kluber. Kybert against Smiley at $3,200 feels pretty solid. Probably that's just the group for me. Anybody that I haven't mentioned that you'd be in on?
I mean, I think you can get to Connor Wong, who's been pretty good for Boston the last few days.
Homer today.
Had 3 hits on Saturday and a stolen base, which I don't think you can like.
He actually stole some bags in the minor leagues. I'll pull it up right now, but I feel like he was a guy that had that potential. Let's see here.
But I like him, and if Alejandro Kirk is in the lineup, he's been coming around lately.
Yeah, he had 11 steals at AA. He had 7 steals last year, so I mean,
so he can run a little bit.
He's got Yachty speed. You remember Yachty used to steal like 10 bags. So
yeah, you can get there. I think all these catchers in this same game are all fine.
Yep, I'm with you. All right, first base. Maybe get a little bit more exciting here. Joey Votto hasn't played a game all year. For whatever reason, the 4th highest price first baseman. DraftKings doing a DraftKings thing there. Yeah, Vladdy, Freeman, Rizzo, all of those guys are great spots. Rizzo at home against Quantrill. He may be the only dangerous guy in that lineup outside of Gleiber.
Yep.
Freeman's at home. Vladdy's on the road there. I mean, after that, man, I don't know. Josh Bell against Herman, maybe?
Yeah, I think both Guardians first baseman are pretty interesting. Herman hasn't been he's been bad against lefty power. So Naylor and Bell both profile.
Yeah, they profile as power hitters. They're not hitting for power.
Yeah.
Man, there's not a lot here. Matt Carpenter against Weaver if he's in the lineup. $2,600.
Yeah, he's been hitting in a pretty good spot too. He's been hitting 6th. So I think you can get there. I think you could probably get to Mancini. He's really, really, really coming around lately. 375 average in his last 10 games. If you want to play him against Mackenzie Gore, I think that's the problem. We're so few. There's so few good pitchers on the slate. You can stack against Mackenzie Gore if he's going to be popular. Cubs are really, really good against left-handed pitching.
Yeah, again, they just have a 25% strikeout rate, but everything else profiles pretty good for them there. So if Gore can miss bats, then all systems go.
They could be.
Anybody else here? I mean, would you play LeMahieu or Cronenworth or anybody in the mid tier?
I would play pretty much anyone that's wearing a Padres jersey against Luke Weaver. So, so yes, on the Cronenworth front. Okay. Dude, Luke Weaver's been so bad.
I know.
And Howard Bender said this the other day, and it's kind of stuck in my head about not wanting to stack against some of these teams that are struggling. And what if San Diego just puts it all together in one day?
Right. And they score 12 runs,
each. And they're going to come off this series where they're scoring a boatload of runs in Mexico City, feeling good. And so, yeah, I like Cronenworth quite a bit. Probably not going to get to LeMahieu. I do like the multi-position eligibility, though.
Okay. Second base position here. Our boy Estrada have himself another nice, weekend here, but he's 5,700. So, but the righty split for him is where we want. There's stolen base upside. There's some power here. 5 stolen bases the last 10 games for him now. 944 OPS. I mean, the guy is certainly breaking up. If you want to go there. Jonathan India hits lefty as well. We know Nico Horner can get on and steal. I don't mind the 2-man stack of Torres. If you went Volpe, Torres, Rizzo against Cal Quantrill, in Yankee Stadium, that can play up. The rest
Yep.
of the lineup isn't going to do anything.
Yep.
But that's not a bad little 3-man there.
Righty's
I know.
hitting righty's hitting 339 against Quantrill.
Okay, yeah, I don't mind it. Jimenez, I know he's off to a slow start to the year. Very admired in yet another slump still, but it's in 4 straight, and he homered against Boston on 29. So maybe we're starting to see a little life here. So there's thoughts there. And then Dubon finally back-to-back games without a hit. So is the tide turning on him, or he's going to lead off against Stripling here at $3,600? There's some interest for me there as well.
Yeah, I don't know where my interest really lies. I like India against lefties. I like Estrada against everybody. I like Jimenez. I think Jimenez is in a really good spot to continue his hot streak because Domingo Germán is hot trash.
Mm-hmm.
Been better on the road this year. I'm probably not going to get Dubon's 3,600. It was easy to get to low threes because the hit and the run was fine.
Yeah.
I'd rather just go all the way down. Miguel Vargas homered the other day, continues to just get on base all the time. And then Emmanuel Valdez for the Red Sox. He's an interesting prospect. I liked his bat. I like what I saw
Yeah,
looking him
he's
up
a hit
this
first
season.
player. Guy can't feel the lick, but he's out there to swing the bat. So
Doubles in 3 straight games. I know he's going to hit towards the bottom of the lineup. I think he hit 7th on Saturday. Then he hit 9th on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
He's 2,300. Berrios has been notoriously bad against left-handed hitters. This year is no different. Righties are hitting 213 against him. Lefties are hitting 271. So I don't hate the idea if you're using Boston getting Valdez, especially if he's hitting 9th, you get the rep around there.
Yep. Merrifield has dual eligibility, but he's been on fire lately. A 400 average, 1,000 OPS. No power, but 6 doubles, 2 stolen bases for Whit Merrifield. So if you're not in on Kluber, you want a cheap exposure to that, $3,300 for Whit Merrifield.
I'm not in on Kluber, by the way.
I figured you weren't. Third base, Devers is here. Probably the guy you're going to look to lock in. He homered yesterday. 880 OPS. He has the struggling lately, but on the season he has an 840 OPS on the year with 10 homers. So, again, a spot where he could maybe start to break out now that they're back at home. Chapman, we know, on fire, continues to hit. You mentioned you want everybody in a San Diego uniform. Machado's there. Muncy, we know with the power that's there for him. 5 homers the last 10 games. Patrick Wisdom homered the other day. So certainly a lot of options at third base.
Yeah, I like this position quite a bit. Fortunately for us, if we wanted to play Wisdom, we could play him in the outfield.
Yep.
I think Devers is perfectly fine. Again, lefties profile better against Berrios. I love Jose Ramirez against Domingo Germán in Yankee Stadium. No problems getting there. He has been better from the right side, but Germán struggling over his last 2 starts. You can play Chapman in a Toronto stack. Good luck affording it, but you could play it if you want. I'm just going to probably get to Manny Machado. I mean, 5K, coming off a few good games in a row.
3 homers the last two games. Granted, again, they played in Mexico City yesterday, but still.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, but it's something that could potentially jumpstart their campaign, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like Machado quite a bit, 5K coming around. And you mentioned it. Once he has tremendous power, Taijuan Walker, I'm a little worried about him coming off the forearm. He said he's fine. Righties have really hit him hard for what it's worth. So, we'll get to an obvious Dodgers outfield play from the right side, but he's been really good against lefties this year.
Yeah.
620 OPS, 291 WOBA allowed. So probably not going to get to Muncy, even though he can be a cheap home run. I do like Wisdom here quite a bit, though. And honestly, Bregman, I know Bregman hasn't done a lot, but Rush tripling isn't
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Candelario's here against Smiley at 32. We mentioned Carpenter with the multi-position eligibility. Any other value third baseman?
Nick Senzel continues to rake. I think he hit a home run on Sunday as well, or he stole a base as well. Nick Senzel hit a home run on Sunday as
All
well.
right.
So
Senzel,
all those stats that are showing up, not including the
right.
homer Sunday, is just
Good. Definitely heating up. Get
yep.
him, get him, on a big ballpark. He homered in. Now you got him in San Diego. Shortstop position here. Talk to me about some of your favorites here. A couple more minutes left here in the show today.
Bogart's 55. If you want to get to Bichette, that's perfectly fine. Obviously, Mookie Betts is in play. He's the righty that I was profiling. I think
Yeah.
he's the one Dodger I would really want to use. Jeremy Pena continues to steal bases, and he actually hit home run the other day too. I think he's a great play, 4,600. Dansby hits lefties well. Ahmed Rosario is okay. Volpe 3,700 stands out like a sore thumb.
Yep.
He's
He
I
gets on
mean,
base and he steals second base. So
yep. And not a lot of strikeout worry for him
no,
against Cal Control.
no, I agree with you there. All right, outfield, always a loaded spot for us here. Jordan back for Houston,
Yep.
$6,300. Tatis against Weaver at 6K. Tucker's 54. You know the drill here. Pick whatever stack you want. For the lineups, I think everybody here except for Schwarber for me would be eligible.
Correct.
That's kind of how I'm profiling it. Who's your favorite mid-tier options out here?
I love Yoshida and what
Yeah,
he's done
Verdugo homer
lately.
today as well. A pair of lefties there for against
Yeah,
Padres.
Verdugo, Yoshida, both fine. We mentioned Wisdom at the last position. I think that's fine. I like Dalton Varsho, the lefty righty. Kluber struggled a lot with lefties this year. I wish Toronto had more of them. They
Yeah,
don't.
Brandon Belt.
Yeah, Brandon Belt and your boy Craig
Haniger
Biggio.
homered again today, back-to-back games. But again, they're playing in Mexico City, so
Alex Call probably going to lead off 2,700. He's raked lefties this year.
yeah, we love all of the Washington outfielders. Stone Garrett will be there.
Stone Garrett hit third against a lefty over the weekend, John.
Yeah,
Third.
yeah. Thomas is home against a lefty. That was the bingo split call you mentioned. $2,700 there. Let's see here. The J Hay kid at $2,500 against Taiwan. Still out there.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Still there. All right, let's build a lineup. We got to get a couple more minutes. Pitching is the
Snell is we're definitely going Snell. It's probably the trio of pitchers. I think that I know we both liked Gore. I probably liked Garcia more than you. That's probably our.
you know what? Recent form Garcia. I'll bite the bullet. You mentioned the strikeout upside is still there. San Francisco against right-handed pitching this season, second highest strikeout rate, 26.1%.
Yep.
You just have to hope that the power doesn't come. 225 ISO. So
Right.
hope they miss bats and not put a bat on ball, or else Garcia is going to be in a little bit of trouble. 4K a play. We're not playing Mackenzie Gore, so I guess we can play Yan Gomes at catcher.
Yep. We're definitely playing Yan Gomes.
First base, $4,100. Again, I kind of like the Yankees against Quantrill. I don't know.
I'm okay with that.
We get the Riz. Second base, you wanted to go Gleiber, or did you have a value option for
It was either Vargas or Valdez. If you're
I think
doing
we're
value.
going to go value outfield.
Yep. And I plugged Machado at third.
Okay, so we'll go Gleiber, Machado. That's 3,600. Shortstop. We played Volpe. So 36 for three outfielders, and we had the Nats value there. So where's Stone? Stone's 36.
Hall is 27, and Lane, I think, is right around him, 29.
Did you want to go Duran for Boston at 33, the way he's been playing still?
Yeah, that's fine.
If you had to pick Call or Lane Thomas, which one?
Call leading off has shown a little more pop.
Okay. That's 4,700 then for our last outfield spot. Where are you feeling?
Yoshida
one off? Or
yep.
Wisdom?
Oh, yeah. Home
Wisdom
run.
against Score.
Yeah, the home run upside, yeah.
Yep. So that's what we got. We got $300 left over. Our lineup: Blake Snell, Luis Garcia, Yan Gomes, Anthony Rizzo, Gleyber Torres, Manny Machado, Anthony Volpe, Stone Garrett, Alex Tall, Patrick Wisdom. Good luck, everybody, on today's 6-game slate. James and I will be back live at 5 o'clock, updating everybody on what is going on today. We will catch you guys later.